in 2006, there was a democratic election in Gaza, and Hamas won the democratic election in Gaza, but not just in Gaza, throughout all of the Palestinian territories. And Ismail Haniyeh, who was assassinated last summer by Israel in Tehran, was supposed to be the prime minister of Palestine, not just of Gaza. And of course, the United States and Britain and other Western countries decided that the wrong people won in a fair election. And so they imposed sweeping sanctions. Israel imposed a full spectrum blockade on Gaza. And the government, the elected government of Gaza, after there was a civil war between the forces of Fatah, Mahmoud Abbas's ruling coalition or ruling party's party, and Hamas consolidated its power in Gaza. Abbas kept his control of the occupied West Bank and at the helm of the Palestinian Authority, and Hamas had to be the government. So you had people that populated that government who were not members of Al-Qassam brigades, who were not armed resistance fighters, who were not necessarily lifelong members of Hamas, who were civil servants or technical experts in the medical field, in the engineering field, in every possible arena of societal organization. And so Israel is not just assassinating the political leadership of Hamas or the military, or attempting to assassinate the military leadership of Al-Qassam brigades. What they now are doing increasingly is assassinating people whose jobs was of an entirely civilian nature, was entirely focused on running civilian institutions as part of a government. Like people need to really understand this. They are now murdering, and I mean, they've been doing this for 19 months, but it's now who they're putting press releases out about.
Right.
Oh, we've taken out this target. You're taking out civil servants who probably, many of them aren't even like, I'm a diehard Hamas person. They are civil servants. So, what we're looking at right now, if we had an honest discourse in our media, what we would be reporting is that Israel is mass murdering the people responsible for running basic civil institutions in an occupied territory on this planet. This should not be reported as they're taking out Hamas leadership. Let's be clear on that. What they're down to now is murdering civil servants.
And I think what's extremely worrying.
Well, but Sharif, before you go, I'll just to read from their statement. They describe the person that they assassinated in March as, quote, head of Hamas finances and institutions.
Exactly.
Like, they're not even claiming that he's
Ismail Barhoum, who, by the way, was killed in a hospital.
Yes.
Which also killed a 16-year-old boy. And he's a civil bureaucrat, essentially, or works in the finance ministry. But what I was saying was, what's extremely worrying is that last week Israel approved plans to escalate somehow the offensive on Gaza, to seize all of Gaza, and to force the Palestinians that are there into an even tinier space in the south. They also proposed this dystopian-sounding plan to distribute aid, whereby you're forcing starving Palestinians through conflict zones in order to get some ration of food. This has been rejected by the United Nations, hundreds of aid organizations. There's also a US-backed plan. And Israel has openly said that it will launch this new offensive after Trump leaves the region. So I don't know, Jeremy or Ryan, if you want to talk about.
Yeah. Do you have any sense of what you're seeing from the kind of Israeli echelon there, and how it feels about the confidence it has in its ability to continue carrying this out in the face of Trump's increasingly clear suggestions? It's only suggestions at this point that this kind of be wrapped up.
I mean, it's hard to answer that question, but I would say that since March 18th, the kinds of attacks that we're seeing, I don't think we've seen this level of brutality and violence since the very beginning of the war. In October and November of 2023, I would say on average there was 200 to 300 Palestinians being killed every day in Gaza. And there was just, I think, the heaviest level of bombardment. But what we're seeing now is just we tried to capture this in some of our coverage at Dropside, is just across the entire strip, anywhere, mostly places of civilian gathering. There are airstrikes every single day, airstrikes and shelling. And, you know, they're attacking hospitals, as we saw yesterday, but they're attacking charity kitchens. They're blowing up tents. They're using, suicide drones. There's just, and it's by far majority women and children who are being killed. But on top of that, also what we've seen, and you know what we haven't talked about, is since March 2nd, this full spectrum blockade, and this latest analysis that just came out of that classifies levels of hunger shows that the entire Gaza Strip now is facing famine. And these are very technical terms, but there is a level of starvation that is happening there. They just bombed an UNRWA food distribution center in Jabalia. Ben Gvir has openly talked about bombing food distribution centers as well. And as we said, they are now openly talking about a massive, they're calling up more reservist troops and talking about a massive campaign to seize the entire strip. They have control about now. 70% of Gaza now is either a no-go zone or it's under forced displacement orders. So there's already, in one of the most, which was before the war, one of the most densely populated places on the planet, 70% of it is now, kind of a place you can't really be. And they want to take the entire enclave and force Palestinians into this tiny, tiny area.